After living with a chronic illness since the age of 4, receiving life-saving and transformative gifts at the age of 40 is something to be grateful for.
At 4 years old, I don't know how many people have really significant memories. For me, diabetes was such a part of the fabric of me. I really don't know my life before it. I only know my life with it.
That's Kidney Connections ambassador and kidney pancreas transplant recipient, Daja Weathers. I'm Monica Fox, Vice President of Government Relations and External Affairs for the National Kidney Foundation of Illinois, and your host for this edition of The Journey Continues. In this episode, I'm talking to Daja about how she managed life as a type 2 diabetic and now her post-transplant life. Thanks for joining me, Daja. I'm so glad to have you.
Thank you, Monica. Thank you for having me. I'm so excited.
So tell me, how'd your kidney journey begin?
My kidney journey began at age 4. I was diagnosed with insulin-dependent diabetes, and I had the greatest doctors, and my mother and my family were great advocates for me. So I had a really healthy and vibrant adolescent, teenage, and early adulthood. Some changes started to happen once I was no longer covered by my mother's insurance at 24, and I became self-managing. And that self-managing, like I said, I had such a great start. I was able to use sliding scales and all the knowledge that I had gained in my youth. And it took me into my early 30s. But once I got into my career and things like that, got into life, and everything was just moving so fast for me. In that sense, I think there was a time where I became more concerned about the aesthetic of me than the health of me. And now, obviously, with wisdom, I understand that your health is your wealth. But I was putting some things before that. And there were some subtle signs that I was ignoring during that time. So around 38, I started to have some issues with my vision. And from there, seeing my family eye doctor, he sent me to a specialty eye doctor. And when they were looking in the back of my eyes, it became urgent that I needed to get to a doctor to see about the overall health of me. Because like I said, those changes were some early stages of diabetes retinopathy. And from there, I found out that I had stage 3 kidney disease from just that one visit. And it was so progressive that we were going straight into dialysis. So I had some decisions to make. And I knew I was going to do peritoneal dialysis from the start because my father at the time, actually at the time I was starting that, he had just been transplanted at 70 years old.
Oh, wow.
And he's doing great today. But I knew I wanted to do peritoneal because he was on it for 6 years and he was very healthy for the most part. He was thriving. And I said, okay. I was also very private. I didn't look like what I was going through and I just didn't want to expose it. I wanted to keep that to myself at the time. So I wanted to do it at home.
Before we go further, let me ask you,
Yeah.
as a little girl and a young person, share your initial feelings and experiences about being diagnosed with juvenile insulin-dependent diabetes.
At 4 years old, I don't know how many people have really significant memories. For me, diabetes was such a part of the fabric of me. I really don't know my life before it. I only know my life with it. And I think the interesting thing about asking me that question now that I'm post-transplant, I'm more so navigating what I call normal people do. I still live a diabetic mindset with a lot of things that I do because I had it for 36 years. To me, that's all my life. So the diabetes didn't separate me. So many people that knew me, and from kindergarten to 8th grade, these are people I grew up with, they protected me. And actually having diabetes made me special. It didn't isolate me. It made me very special, very loved, and very cared for. So it was never anything that I was ever downtrodden about. It's just all I knew. And a lot of support. I encourage people that are young too, if you have children with diabetes. I went to diabetic camps. I was surrounded by 600 kids every summer for like a week or two at a time, learning about diabetes and knowing that I wasn't the only one because I would see, these other children that were a lot like me.
That's awesome. And listening to you talk about your friends protecting you just made me think about Mattel just came out with a Barbie that's diabetic. And I wonder if you've gotten one yet or if you want one.
Yes. You know what? American Girl doll has one too. They have the diabetic
Oh,
bracelet, and I thought that was just so cute. Am I too old to get that doll now? I'm gonna get that Barbie.
so you talked about self-management of diabetes, and what did that look like for you after you lost your mother's insurance and, from 25 years old and on?
Talk about insurance disparities and things that will stop you. Actually, it never stopped me. I will say this. I was not managing my A1C. It was very fluctuating, it was always up and down. What I will say is that I was never without my medicine. I never once neglected taking my insulin. I was more so reactive than proactive, definitely, but I never was without. But I was able to see different doctors. I didn't have a specific caregiver, someone that really knew me, but I was still always able to manage to have my insulin and my needs. But once again, I was just using sliding scales that I was familiar with. But I was uncontrolled, and it showed. It showed. There were times my A1C may have been 9. It was times it was 12. So it was always up and down.
And you mentioned that you were thriving during your adolescence and young adult years. So, what specific strategies or support systems helped you during that time?
I'm gonna be honest, my mother was such an advocate for me. She immediately got lawyers involved as far as school. If we were Iowa testing or doing anything like that, I was always able to leave to use the rest. I had access to the restroom, access to the nurse's office. Like I said, when there was testing and I had a low blood sugar, a high blood sugar, I was able to step away from the testing. And my mother did that with ADA. She protected me in that way. So outside of that, I was at Larbitas Children's Hospital. Kudos. It was so family oriented. So like my brother was able to come, my grandmother, people who were my caregivers and support team, they all learned how to give injections when I was very young. But diabetes camp, my nurse suggested that when I was 7 years old, that was my first summer ever time away from my mom with diabetes. Was giving myself injections when I came home this summer. So I actually could give my own injections at 7 years old because my mom involved me in different camps and groups like that. So just having a team, it really does take a village when you have a child with a disability.
Can you explain how diabetes retinopathy affected your daily life and what you wish you had known earlier about prevention?
I remember being in my teenage years when, I got to high school and I started to kind of have the diet of a teenager. Up until high school, my food was very much monitored. It was weighed. We had scales. My mom did all of those things. But once I got to high school and I had the independence to kind of do what I wanted to do and indulge in things I had never actually had and things like that, I remember my doctors then saying to me, these are the things that can happen to you. I don't think I took them that serious because it seemed like something that only happened to old people in my mind. I was like, oh, that's stuff that happens to grandmoms, like old people. This is not something that's going to affect me. Boy, was I wrong. In time, in time, that's what happened. And the diabetes retinopathy, the only thing I can say is being as active as I was and losing my independence. Monica, I lost my eyesight. It was devastating. It was devastating. I didn't know if it would be restored. A lot of times with diabetes retinopathy, there's not a reverse button on that. The damage is done. I was just very fortunate. This one was corrected soon enough to save the vision, and this one still has some fluctuating vision in it. So, but by the grace of God, I'm still able to see today. But
Yes.
I needed what I call babysitters after a lot of those surgeries. I couldn't even navigate my home. Couldn't do a lot of things alone. Obviously couldn't drive. And then this is time that my vision was, that I was without my vision. I was also on dialysis. So I needed somebody to work my machine. And I think what it did was it humbled me quickly to saying, I need help. I need help. So I lost that, like, okay, let me figure it. No, I need help. Help me.
And so, how was your experience with peritoneal dialysis, and what role did your healthcare team play during this time?
I've always been an advocate for myself. As you can see, Monica, as you know personally, I'm not really that shy. So I was always a part of the team, and I was part of the team instantly. I knew what I wanted to do. I knew I wanted to live. And, it'd be 6 in the morning. I show up in heels and like, what are we doing today? I mean, I've always I knew I wanted to fight. I was prepared to fight. So the team was amazing. And because I developed those personal relationships, I was honest about everything. This was the first time I ever had an honest relationship with a doctor in my experience. I was able to say when I had burnout. I actually got peritonitis one time. We couldn't figure out how I got it. It was some sort of a fluke. But at the same time I got peritonitis, I got COVID. So I was fighting for my life during these 3 weeks of this infection. Had to have the catheter replaced. They hit an artery. Had to go on hemodialysis for 6 weeks. As that healed, then I had to have another surgery to have that placed again in my abdomen. So there were a few ups and downs, but for the most part, transparency with my team, they cared about me, and they cared about me like I was a family member. And I am so grateful for that. I dedicate my time now to them. I feel like I owe them. They extended themselves. My doctor would be on vacation calling me, "Hey, how do you feel?" I'm like, "Well, you go enjoy yourself," so developing relationships is important in advocating, asking why. You are a part of it. They won't know. They won't know how you feel. That's the science of it, but I'm living it. And I had to realize that because after peritonitis, actually, it's been shown that you do have a burnout period, and I did. And because I was honest, my doctor actually said, "You know what? Once a month, you can go off for 2 days." Because I was honest, he did that. And I used that to my advantage because I wanted to go on vacation. I didn't want to lug my, system with me. So, yeah, having a team and being an advocate for yourself is important.
I'm glad that you had that and you did that. Can you describe the journey of being placed on the transplant list and how it finally felt to receive your pancreas and kidney transplant?
The journey of the transplant list, he didn't wait long. Like I said about building that relationship, maybe 2 months into starting, we were already starting the workup. It was very immediate with my doctor. So I started my workup at a different hospital where he has some relationships. And for anybody that thinks that you just go and get listed, no, myth. I have had every test. I mean, they were testing me for things that I don't even think you can get in this country. Malaria, all types of things. I was like, "Is that here?" I was like, okay. So there's the constant test. These things are scheduled. One test could be this month. The next test that you need might be 3 months down the line. There's all types of scans. And they were measuring my jaw. They were measuring all types of cardio and cardiac tests and all these things. It took about 8 months of a workup to get all those appointments and everything I need, the cancer screenings. If you're afraid of needles, oh my goodness, there's a lot of blood work. There was constant blood work. So I want to say within this 8-month period of the workup, I was finally listed. And I was not listed for very long. Actually, I had 3 phone calls. The third one was the charm. The first phone call, the kidney was good. The pancreas was not good. And I don't think this is a funny story, but the second phone call, I actually turned it down. They have to tell you when your person is high risk. And they told me that the person had passed in jail. I do believe some of these organs hold memory, and I didn't want to be no, I'm just kidding. But no, I actually turned that one down. I was afraid. Usually when it's high risk, it could be hepatitis. And I just didn't want to have another thing, even though those things can be treated. It wasn't the choice that I wanted to make for myself. Third phone call, Sunday morning, 7 a.m. I knew it was them. I could feel it. As soon as the phone rang, I was like, those are my organs. They told me the surgeons were looking at them. They would give me a call back 2 hours later. Don't eat another thing after 12. And I was there at 7 o'clock that night.
Awesome.
Yeah.
How'd you feel?
I wasn't ready. I wasn't ready. I thought I was going to wait. You hear these stories. People wait for years for things. People wait. Like I said, it had only been 2 months. I know I got the other 2 phone calls, but to be honest, after I said no to that one, I thought that it was going to affect me in that lottery of that. I was like, man, maybe I just ruined that for myself. I stopped thinking about it. It was actually 2 weeks after that I got that third phone call. But honestly, Monica, I wasn't ready. I couldn't process an 8-hour surgery. I had never had surgery like in that capacity before.
Yeah.
I was afraid. So I don't even think I got that phone call and I was jumping for joy. I got the phone call. Obviously, I told my husband, but I called my doctor right away and I said, I don't think I can do this. And I'm not going to even discuss what he told me, but he said, hey, I've been working hard and I deserve it. but you do. But you do. I don't want to keep you on dialysis. You deserve it. Your husband deserves it. But I've been working hard. And I said, you know what? But no, I could not wrap my mind around it. I was scared.
Wow.
I
Wow.
was scared. I was scared to the moment I got there at 7:00 at night.
Yeah. Yeah. I can understand that. I can understand that.
Best decision of my life.
Yes.
I'm glad I didn't let the fear control me, because this journey has been amazing.
So have you met your donor family?
No.
Do you know anything about your donor?
I know they don't like ice. I can tell you what they don't like to eat because of how I feel and what I don't desire anymore. But no. And I want to be honest with you, Monica. I wrote a letter to the family,
Mm-hmm.
thanking them for this incredible gift and letting them know how I was going to live my life going forward,
Mm-hmm.
and what I wanted to dedicate to my donor and them. Other than that, I didn't want to know too much. I think with social media and all these certain things, I didn't want to get too deep into who this person was for my own mental. What if I didn't like them? What if this is somebody I would have never agreed with their politics or lifestyle or something? I don't need to know. But I'm appreciative for the gift of life. But personally, I don't think I was interested.
I understand. But in honor of your donor and their family, what specific actions are you taking to promote organ donor awareness?
What we're doing right now, bring awareness to becoming an organ donor, bringing awareness to diabetes, bringing awareness to kidney disease. I didn't even know you can get a pancreas transplant. These are things that seem so futuristic to me.
Mm-hmm.
The gift of life, one person being able to help up to 25 people. Listen, we are living to serve others. That was the most selfless thing, even in death. That was so selfless to say, let me. And this person lives on. I think it's the greatest gift to give. No different than a mother, to give life. I mean, to be able to do that. I recognize that. So I am dedicating my life from here on out to serving my kidney warriors in my community. And especially the communities that have the most disparities, Black and brown communities, people who don't have the advocacy. That's what I'm doing today.
Awesome. Thank you. How can listeners become more involved in advocating for diabetes and kidney disease prevention in their own communities?
Listen to the stories. Share your story. Listen to the stories. I'm not just inspired by just sharing this journey of mine. Listen, you don't get a transplant and it stops. My journey is every time I get blood work, every time I'm waiting on results, every time I'm getting new screenings, it doesn't stop. But share your stories. If you are in need of an organ, go on social media. Let your church know. Let your community know. A lot of times we're sitting in these doctor's office. We're not asking questions. We're just listening. And sometimes when you get bad news, you turn off. But if you need the support, we have National Kidney Foundation. There's all these places where people are like, let me show you how I did it. Let me help you. So really, I think it's sharing stories, putting your health first. That is the best form of self-care, okay? You can't even get to this process if you're putting off that chest pain, if your stomach is cramping, if you're just ignoring these things and making all the excuses. So first things first, let's go to the doctor. Let's take our health serious. That's what you can do.
Yes.
Know where you stand in your health.
Yes.
Know where you stand in your health. And from there, find the resources you need. Social media is a double-edged sword, but there are communities for everything.
Yes.
And one of my favorite ones is National Kidney Foundation. So
I think people are afraid of bad news, but if you get the bad news early enough, it can turn into good news and good outcomes. So you're absolutely right.
yeah, we hear those stories all the time, like early detection saves lives, like all these things. So absolutely. I mean, Monica, we're living this life. We're scared of bad news. You don't get numb to these things. I just think as long as you feel like there's options now. There's so many options for things. So don't count yourself out. These things are not always death sentences. There are so many options, technology, the science. But if nothing else, whatever it is that you believe in, whatever you call it, lean into it.
Yeah.
It's okay. Just lean into it.
And what exciting things have you and your husband and your family done since your transplant?
Well, first of all, I make them celebrate my second birthday. I had 2 birthdays now. Listen, and I want gifts. I want gifts. I have 2 birthdays. Outside of that, this is the gift. This is the gift. Living life. It was so many things I promised myself when I was sick that I do now. So every month I host a family bowling, event. So every month we get together and we bowl. It was all those little things about just staying connected and living in the moment. When you're fighting for your life, you are in the day.
Right.
Each day is different. Sometimes you got to think about the future to give you aspiration to keep pushing. But usually you're fighting day to day. So when I was doing that, all I could think about was all the fun stuff that I wanted to do. And now I'm doing it.
Yes.
I'm doing it. I'm listening to my body as I do it. But for the most part, this is what we wanted. I am vibrant. I am healthy. Every time we get a chance to celebrate, we do. That's it. Just as simple as that.
Wonderful.
Celebrating life.
I'm happy to hear that. And I thank you for spending time with me and sharing your wonderful story with me. And I'm so happy that you are so well.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Monica, you have been such an inspiration to me as well. My kidney warrior friend. So, yeah, let's keep doing the work. I'm so glad to be doing it with you.
Thank you. Paying it forward through volunteer work and advocacy is a wonderful thing to do. For more information about volunteering with the Kidney Foundation or about our resources, visit nkfi.org. I'm Monica Fox, a grateful kidney transplant recipient, and this is The Journey Continues. Prevention's a key part of our mission at the Kidney Foundation. That's why at the end of each episode, we share a health tip.
Here's today's health and prevention tip. Common drugs such as nonsteroidal anti-inflammatory drugs like ibuprofen are known to cause kidney damage and disease if taken regularly. Such medications probably don't pose significant danger if your kidneys are relatively healthy and you use them sparingly. But if you're living with chronic pain like arthritis or back pain, contact your doctor to find ways to control your pain without damaging your kidneys.